Saturday in Simpsonville, South Carolina, and I was sitting here thinking about how someone once said you better be careful about lying because liars get caught up in their own lies. They forget what they lied about. In the same way, it's a reason that I believe the Bible is because there's so many prophecies in fulfillment that they can't be lies. They've got to be absolute foreknowledge of events to take place. And that's the case for today's lesson out of Exodus chapter 11 and 12. We've come through the plagues, 9 different plagues, and now Pharaoh is being confronted with one more plague, the final plague, the death angel that's going to pass through Egypt. But I want you to know as you enter into Exodus chapter 11, you find a prophetic word from the Lord to Moses saying this is the last plague. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, here have been 9 in concession, or succession rather, one after another, nine prophecies, 9 plagues, and now God says this is the last one. But it's very interesting too. If you read chapter 11, you'll find that one of the shorter term prophecies that God told Moses has come into play again, a repeat of a promise that God made way back in chapter 3. In chapter 3, God says to Moses in verse 22, you're going to take the silver and the gold of the Egyptians with you. And now he reminds Moses of that. He said, the silver and gold of the Egyptians you'll be taking with you. And when he lets you go, not if he lets you go, but when he lets you go. And then there's a warning. The warning is that the firstborn of everything is going to die. And it says to Moses that the Israelites will be identified as being chosen by God, and the fact that the Egyptians will be struck, but not even a dog will bark against an Israelite or any of her animals. Isn't that interesting? I mean, the detail that is covered in the book of Exodus of exactly how this is going to play out, how every event with Pharaoh and with the nation of Israel in Egypt plays out, all told in advance and all coming to pass exactly as God said that it would. What's the chance that somebody could just write all of that? These are historical events. The Jews today still practice Passover out of the events of the book of Exodus. So what is the sacrificial animal of the Passover? That's your question. What was significant about that animal that was going to be a sacrifice for the Passover? And what was the sign on the doorposts of the Israelites' homes? What was the sign on the doorposts of the Israelites' homes? Well, let's take a look. We see this prophetic promise that this is the last of the plagues. Moses is not going to have to go through any more of this, and that Pharaoh is going to let the people go this time instead of just that he's going to harden his heart. He's reminded that the Israelites are going to be able to take gold and silver from the Egyptians with them when they go. And once again, the warning is that all of the firstborn will die as the death angel passes through with no exceptions except for the Israelites. And that even a dog will not bark against the Israelites or their animals, their other animals. The sacrifice animal, of course, is the lamb. What do we know about the lamb? We know that it was to be a male lamb in the prime of life, without blemish. That's really interesting, and I hope soon to be able to share with Temple Baptist Church the beautiful typology that's found in the book of Exodus of the Passover meal with what we consider today the Lord's Supper, and the beautiful symbolism that comes out of Exodus chapter 11 and 12. And to see that. But the sacrifice animal is a lamb. He's a male lamb. He's without blemish and in the prime of life. And the sign on the doorpost, private property do not disturb. No, that's not what it is. That's the one that we're making here for the condo complex. The sign on the door is the blood of the lamb spread with hyssop branches up the lintels across the lintels and down the doorposts. And the sign on the door is the blood of the Lamb. Can you start to see the typology of Exodus chapter 11 and 12 with the Lord's Supper? Yes, the sign of the door is not do not disturb. It's not come back again some other time. It's the blood of the Lamb protecting the house of Israel, protecting the people that dwell therein. What do you learn today? Man, if you didn't learn a bunch of things about God's prophecy being fulfilled and about the blood of the Lamb and how that is what saves us from death eternal, then I don't know how you missed it. Go back and read Exodus chapter 11 and 12 and see the beautiful, shadowy picture of what Jesus would do for Christians in the New Testament. It's a beautiful, beautiful thought. That's your thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.